Hey guys, how you doing? So you're 40, 50, 60, and you haven't saved for retirement. So what can you do? Is there a solution to your retirement situation? Short answer is yes. I'm going to give you the step-by-step in this video. This is kind of the abridged short version. So if you don't know me, my name is Steph. Some people call me Uncle Steph. This is my small channel here where I'm getting into finance and freelance and retirement, all this kind of stuff. My big channel has about 250,000 subscribers, a little more. In this video, I'm going to outline what I did decades ago to find myself basically in a retirement. Well, I was able to retire early, and not because I got super lucky, not because I won the lottery, not because I created this huge, super successful business. In fact, the way I got there was a bunch of first base, second base hits, meaning minor successes combined with proper strategy, a proper program, a proper mindset to get me there. So you can get there. You can make up for your situation within just a few years. In fact, you can find yourself in a very good situation. And even more importantly, perhaps, within the first year, you can find yourself feeling much better about your financial situation, midterm and long term. So I'm going to give you the outline here. If you like this stuff, just subscribe, comment below, let me know. And I'll do more. I'll flesh all this out a little bit more. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, why are you here? Why have you ignored all the information that's out there about saving for retirement, planning for retirement? Why did you spend all your money? You find yourself at 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, not ready for retirement. That's the important question. So the number one reason for that, I know it's probably because you have your emotional alignment vis-a-vis cash and finances out of whack. It may sound weird to you, but bear with me. So in a nutshell, you associate positive feelings with spending your money, going on trips, buying new toys, leasing cars, whatever it happens to be, living beyond your means. If you're not saving every month for long-term retirement, you are living beyond your means. Even if you have zero debt, you are living beyond your means if you're not saving every month. So you have to, first and foremost, you're going to have to change your psychology, your emotional self, your emotional disposition vis-a-vis spending. That's huge, because if you always have to fight this urge to spend, it's going to be hard. So what you got to do is you got to change your emotions. You have to start associating negative emotions with spending. So whenever you buy something, whether it be a coffee, whether you go on a trip, you got to start in your mind, start reminding yourself of all the negative things about spending money. It has to be emotional stuff. It has to be emotional. Think of the worst time you had in your life. So when you're about to buy coffee, think of the worst time you had in your life. When you're about to go on a trip, a vacation, think about the worst things that happen in your life and start making those emotional associations with those negative things. You have to change your disposition. You have to start feeling good about saving and investing and start feeling bad about spending. In terms of changing your emotional disposition via spending and saving and so on, there's more to it than that, but that's the basics. So number two is you got to start eliminating unnecessary expenses. You have to start going through where you're spending your money and start getting rid of it, getting rid of those expenses. You got to start living below your means. And I know a lot of people are saying, I'm on the edge, I'm on the edge. You may be on the edge. I'll give you some strategies later on for that. But a lot of us are not. Now, I found myself decades ago I was quite young. I was 26, and I was like, I had a business, had some legal problems, blah, blah, blah. Had my back against the wall. I got myself out of that. And what I started doing was looking at my expenses because I wasn't saving nearly enough. And I started cutting down all the stupid expenses. If you have credit card debt, you want to get rid of that first, right? Credit card debt is a killer. So for example, at the time, I figured I was spending in that money back in the 90s, $200 a month just on interest payments. And that seemed manageable, But I started thinking about it. I said, if that's $200 a month, that's $4,400 a year. I'm just giving to the banks. In 10 years, that's $44,000. 10 years, $44,000. In 20 years, that's $88,000, not including interest. Be like $100,000. So just by carrying credit card debt like an idiot, I realized that in 20 years I would have paid out at least 100 grand to banks in interest payments. And so you have to double that, because that was in 1990s, not 1990s money. So right now, if you're watching this video and you're quite young, you can figure you could double that, right? So instead of being 100, it'd be like $200,000. Money that you could have in your pocket 20 years later, but you gave it all away in interest. So you got to get rid of credit card debt. First and foremost, you got to get rid of these stupid debts and leases and all this kind of crap. So that's step number 2. You got to start cutting expenses. Stop buying stuff you don't need. Stop eating out. You got to $10 here, $20 here, $30 here. It starts to add up. So if you have a lot of debt, you have to deal with the high interest debt first. Usually it's credit card debt. If you got student loan debt in the US, it's a whole other matter. I'll have to get into another video to cover that. But you have to get rid of these debts first and foremost, right? Very important, especially high interest rate debts. If you have zero debt and you have zero money in the bank, that's great. So we're going to go there, because I'll have to do a whole new video on debt, dealing with debt, and all kinds of strategies to get rid of your debt. If you're interested in that, link it below. By the way, everything I do and teach is from personal experience. I've been in business for over 30 years, software developer and entrepreneur for over 30 years. And what I'm laying out here are strategies that anybody can implement just about. You don't have to have a huge successful business. You don't have to buy a Bitcoin at the right time to make. No, this is all reasonable stuff that anybody can pursue. So let's assume you got your debt down to zero. So the next step is you want to get FU money in the bank. FU money is FU money. It's your emergency money. There we go. I can't swear on the YouTube. So it's your emergency money, so that you don't have to worry about getting that next paycheck. I recommend minimum 6 months, potentially a year. So this is money that you have in some high interest savings account that is untouchable. The only reason you touch this money is all else fails. You got to pay your rent, or you got to pay your mortgage, or you got to buy food. You'd never touch this money. This is your emergency money. This is your sleep well at night money. When I put together my FU money stash for the first time in life, and I learned this from these very rich guys. I call them the toy boys, because 2 brothers who owned a toy company, and I did some contract work for them back in the early 90s. And they said to me, "Hey, Steph, do you have any FU money?" And I said, "What's that?" And they explained to me what it is. I'm sharing this with you now. It's basically emergency money, so you don't have to worry about paying the bills. So when you have like a year's worth of cash, so you can pay all your bills for 1 year, then you can negotiate much more easily, whether you're doing contract work or freelancing, or you have a job. The pressure on your shoulders is like, whew, it's gone. Just doing that, getting to zero debt, and number 2, getting 1 year worth of FU money, you see your whole psychological disposition in your life changes completely. You become free. You become free of the rat race, because you know you don't need that next paycheck. I don't know how people live that way, by the way, where you need that next paycheck or you're going to be in trouble. It's crazy. I don't know how people exist that way. You got to get yourself out of that. I give you the basic tips. So this step was get some FU money together. 1 year is optimal. 1 year is optimal. Investing in your own skill set to become financially independent, to hit retirement fast, you have to keep increasing your skills. You have to keep getting more and more valuable. And that doesn't necessarily mean going to school. In fact, you don't have to go back to school. You don't necessarily have to take a degree. In fact, many times I would suggest you don't, unless it's free. But there are all these different paths. I teach coding and development and freelancing because it's low-hanging fruit, meaning it's easy to get to. You can get there within a year. You can start doing well. But you have to increase your skill sets, whether it be technical skills, soft skills, communication skills, marketing skills, freelance skills. You got to improve your skill sets. You don't want to go into the market with low rent skills, meaning, you don't want to go in there offering something that has very little value. You have to go in there with something that has some value. So you have to study the market. You got to look at skills that have barriers to entry, so that means they have value. And then as you develop these skills, as you become more and more valuable, you'll be able to make more and more money. This is what I did. There's many different ways you can approach this, and it depends where you are starting at. Are you a low-skilled person at this point in time, or are you somebody who already has some valuable skills, right? It's difficult for me to give you a diagnosis, if you will, in this quick video, because I don't know who you are. But if you can find room to increase your value as an individual, invest in yourself. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, he says that's the best investment. He's famous for investing. He says that's the best investment you can make in yourself. Become super valuable. And there's all these different areas. I do coding because that's what I do, but it could be anywhere. It could be become an electrician, become a plumber, or get into bookkeeping, or get into social media marketing if there's value there. You have to study the market. You have to look at the salaries, look at the freelance opportunities, look at the contracting opportunities. Bottom line in this lesson here is you got to raise your value. You got to continuously raise your value. You got to keep doing it as you get older. The good thing, if you're in your 40s and 50s, you already have the skill of experience and patience and persistence and hopefully some wisdom. And that could be applied to any new endeavor that you approach. So once you start leveling up your skills and you start making that extra money, and you can get this done within a year. You can start seeing this happen within 6 months to a year. Once you start doing this and you start making extra money, you don't want to make the mistake of leveling up your lifestyle. You want to keep the lifestyle the same so you can take that extra money that you're making and start investing it and saving it aggressively. That's what I did. So when I figured out this process, I figured out a little from here, a little from there, a little from there. I'm sharing with you now. When I started making all that extra money, I started saving aggressively. I stayed in my small apartment. I like the apartment quite a bit, even to this day. Nice, clean apartment, nice view, not too expensive. I didn't go out there. I could have bought this and that and another thing and bought, but I didn't. I stayed frugal. I enjoyed my lifestyle. I may have treated myself. I made an extra $1,000 a month. I spent an extra 50 or 100 or something. That's the basic equation. So once you start making extra money, it's very important that you don't increase your lifestyle. Now, if you were starting at 20 years old or 25 years old and they say save 15% a year of your income, bing, boom, boom, by the time you're 65, you can retire and you're fine. But we don't have this time anymore. You're 40, you're 50, or 60. You got to start maximizing your savings. So what I did, when I started increasing my earnings, I had cut down all my expenses, got rid of all my debt, and then I started making more and more as I kept improving my skills. All that extra money went into savings and investments. So what happened? As other people were saving 10% or 15%, although a lot of people save nothing, I was saving 30%, 40%, 50%. Some months I would save 80% of my income. 80%. So let's say you get going with this machine that we're talking about within about 2 years. You start seeing progress within 6 months, by the way, if you follow the steps. But let's say you get it really going. In 2 years, you're able to save 50% of your income because you kept your lifestyle consistent, but you start making a lot more money. Very doable. You don't have to win the lottery. You just got to follow the process. And so for every year of your work life where you're saving 50% of your income, the average person is only saving 10%. So one of your years is worth 5 of their years. Within 3 years, you will have saved what the normal person would have saved in 15 years, just in 3 years. In 4 years, you will have saved what the average person takes 20 years. So imagine you're 50 years old and you're broke. You're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You do this and you start leveling up your skills, do the things I described, get rid of debt, so on. And within 4 years, you've caught up to what most other people are. Well, not most, where the better savers are, right? Just within 4 years. So it's very, very doable. It's very doable. The foundations of this, of course, is changing your emotional disposition vis-a-vis saving and spending. You want to make spending very unpalatable to your emotional self. You want to make saving and investing very palatable. So I'm leaving out a lot of details because this is just an overview video. And again, everything that I teach, whether it be on this channel or my other channel, my big channel with the 250,000 plus subscribers, is from personal experience. I'm not theoretical. I'm not, I'm an older guy. Look at the hair, right? I got the white hair here. I'm older. Here's another tip. If you're losing your hair like me, just shave it. Like, this is long for me. If you shave your hair, it's a lot less work and it looks pretty good and it shows confidence. I just wear a hat to keep from burning my head. But anyway, so the final tip is, what do you do with this money? How do you invest it? You want to invest it in what is called index funds. Index funds. Index funds are basically buying a whole range of investment stocks where you don't have to pick and choose, and you do something called dollar cost average. Index funds, dollar cost average. That's how most of the wealthy people get wealthy. You do that, and the trick is getting that first 100,000 saved up. Once you get that first 100,000 saved up, it becomes substantial. When you dollar cost average invest in index funds, let's say on average, some people say you make 8% a year, some people say it's 12% a year on average, depends on the situation. But let's say it's 10 for the sake of argument. When you got $100,000, it's making you $10,000 a year for doing nothing. If you got $50,000, you make it $5,000 a year for doing nothing. So you want to get that first 100 in there as quickly as possible. So you want to scrimp and save and sacrifice, and you want to start building up that long-term financial nest egg in the index funds. And then smooth sailing from there. What happens, even if you do, that first 10,000 is nice, right? It starts making you money. It'll make you an extra $80 a month for doing nothing, just on the interest, just on the increased value. Once you get there and you start changing your psychology, and you're going to start liking to see your bank account grow. Okay, a bonus tip. One of the things you can do to create a positive association to saving and a negative association to buying junk, you want to buy index funds, you want to buy investments, not junk, is that what I do is I go to my closet every year and I take stuff out that I'm not wearing, whether it be clothes or books or whatever it is, gadgets. I get rid of them. I either sell them, I give them away, bring them to the poor. Get rid of stuff. When you start giving away stuff, it starts feeling really good. It's like losing weight, very cathartic. And on top of that, it starts reminding you that you shouldn't have bought that thing in the first place. If you're giving it away after a year or two, it's just sitting in your closet, and you're going to think twice about buying something else, because you say, look at all this stuff I'm just giving away I never used. Money wasted. Could have put it in my index fund. Anyway, there you go. I hope you found this video useful. Again, everything I teach is based on a personal experience. I'm not a theoretical guy. And the strategies I laid out here, of course, this is from 20,000 feet, very light. So if you want more detail, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe. Let me know. Everything I lay out here is very doable. You don't have to be a superstar. You never want to have a financial strategy based on the Hail Mary pass, based on the very rare event. You want to have a financial strategy that is very, very doable. This is very, very doable. These are all little changes here and there. Maybe at first, maybe a little uncomfortable, but once you get into it, you find it very comfortable and it's very doable. And as I said, if you follow the steps, within months, you can start feeling much better, a lot less anxiety about your financial situation. And if you follow through on what I said, within a few years, you can find yourself way back on track, and you can move way ahead of other people in terms of your financial comfort and your retirement trajectory. Okay, one other tip. One other thing you got to consider, and I talk about this more and more, is health. Your energy levels, your cognitive capacity, your ability to think, your emotional stability and levelness, a lot of it is dependent on eating healthy food, exercising on a regular basis. And that's a big part of it as well. You got to get that in order as well. All right. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, as I said, comment below. Let me know. I want more. Can you give me more detail? What do you think? Tell me your own experiences, and I'll do it. All right. I'm Uncle Steph, or just Steph.